So today we are going to talk to two different organizations, or several people from two organizations that increased their foster placements exponentially in 2021. We are going to have Kay Martin and Leanne Rinn from Oakland Animal Services and Amanda Grouse from Cincinnati Animal Care. And so I guess Kay and Leanne, I see that you're both here. Do you all want to start?
Sure. Leanne is gonna share her screen. She has the presentation.
Okay.
If there are any technical difficulties, it will be my fault. So apologies.
No worries.
So I'll just get started. I'm going to start out talking about what we have done in the past couple of years. Leanne, you want to jump to the next slide? So we are in Oakland, California. We are the city's only open admission animal shelter. So we are taking in everything, the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and are constantly challenged by finding placement for them all, especially in these trying times when we're not able to, that's one of the goals with our foster program, is to help ameliorate that problem. So in 2020, we were really able to start to build a more robust foster program. We had, over the years, had always had some form of a foster program, but it was very small. 2020, we got into the HASS group and were able to devote a lot more resources to the project. And so you can see that this is kind of why we're talking today. Is we had great luck, I will say, and a lot of hard work. But in 2020, we went from 241 dogs in foster to 430 dogs in foster in 2021. We are on track for 2022 to, if my math is right, and we can keep on the same path, we will have close to 600 dogs in foster for the year. So it's very promising, and we just keep our fingers crossed that people continue to work from home and are available to foster. If you could go back to that last slide for a second, Leanne. There was just one other thing I wanted to point out on it, which is kind of an interesting statistic, that if you look on the lower right-hand side, dogs per foster home, about 60% of our foster homes have only fostered one dog. And then as you start to go up in number, you can see the numbers of foster homes drop down. So our goal really is to, and something we're tracking, is to grow the bars on the right-hand side so that we get more and more fosters who are more and more experienced and can take on the more challenging dogs, which will again help us in the long run. Next slide, please. So then, looking at the impact of the foster program, you can see, and we took out 2020 stats because they were kind of an outlier with COVID. We didn't feel it was really representative because our intake dropped so low in 2020, as did most shelters. Looking at 2019 to 2021, you can see we had a pretty dramatic increase in our rates of adoption, and also a decrease in our euthanasia rate. So we're pretty proud of the euthanasia rate number, especially. And we really attribute much of those improvements to the ability to get more and more dogs, especially large dogs, out to foster homes. One of the things we have looked at is, how does fostering impact the adoptability of a dog? And it's intuitive to say, of course it does. The dog's going to be more adoptable, but we've actually looked at the numbers, and when you look at our dogs who have been in foster compared to the dogs who haven't been in foster, there is actually a numerical percentage, which I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a scientific fact that it does improve the dog's chances of being adopted. So the likelihood does increase. And then obviously, the more dogs that we can get adopted, the fewer dogs and the more space we can create in the shelter by getting dogs to foster, the fewer dogs we do have to euthanize. Next slide. Okay, and then so Kelly asked us to talk about how we did it. Like, what do we think caused the improvement? And we kind of narrowed it down to 5 things. Of course, you can't really put your finger on any one specific, but there were 5 major things. The first one, next slide, please, is we increased the staff. And again, this was a, thanks to the support of the nonprofit that supports the city shelter, we're able to fund the positions that are Leanne and me, as far as foster coordinator positions. The program started out with one part-time employee, Kat Rawlinson, who some of you probably know. She has been involved at the Oakland shelter in a variety of roles for many years, and she really built the foster program from the ground up. So everything that we're doing today is really stuff that she has visualized and written down somewhere and built the processes around, and we're kind of just implementing it and trying to build on her good work. She still also volunteers with us 1 day a week, which is a huge help. And she's our number cruncher too. She knows how to figure out how to track all this information. So that really has made, I think, the biggest difference is to have just literal people there, Leanne and I, getting dogs out the door. So next slide. The second thing that we did that we feel has made a huge difference is expansion of the foster program in terms of the dogs who are eligible for foster. When we started out, we really only sent out dogs who were—
Sorry, if you're not speaking, if you don't mind muting, just because I hear typing in the background. Thank you.
Thanks. We would mainly send out dogs who needed medical care, puppies, and then dogs who had behavioral challenges. We have expanded now the dogs eligible for foster to basically any dog in the shelter. There are some minor exceptions. If a dog is a small dog and is highly adoptable or is quite likely to get pulled by a rescue in the short term, we won't send those dogs out just because we want them on site so that they can move on to their next place. But otherwise, we are just letting people pick and choose dogs if they want, or we will match them up with dogs. The huge advantage there is that we then were able to make dogs who are really easy dogs available to foster homes. We've had a lot of fosters who started out with no dog experience at all. And over the years, basically the 2 years or year and a half that I've been doing it, they've become some of our most experienced and trustworthy fosters because they started out with an easy dog. They learned along the way, we gave them some support, et cetera. And then as they progress through additional dogs, they are more confident and able to take on more challenging dogs, which of course is a huge help. And of course it frees up space. If we send out a highly adoptable dog, that's an extra kennel in the shelter where we can put the new intakes. So Leanne, I think you're going to jump in at this point.
Yes. So kind of building on what Kay just said, we have made our foster program more flexible for people signing up to do it. For example, we've started doing short-term fosters, encouraging people, you don't have to take the dog until it's adopted. A week out of the shelter makes a huge difference for our dogs in adoptability. And it's also a great way that we've gotten people who were a little on the fence about fostering to kind of take the plunge and actually do it and not feel like they were going to be stuck. And then a lot of the times they'll either keep the dog because it's not as bad as they thought it would be, or they will come back and get a different dog and do it again. And we've also done a foster buddy system where we'll have 1 dog and 2 households. This is really great. A lot of our fosters travel, or they will have work obligations that will ramp up and then slow down sometimes. And then also they can just take a more difficult dog, like a dog with separation anxiety, that is just going to kind of wear you out. This way the dog goes to both homes. And also we found that it was really helpful for the dogs, some of our shy dogs. This helped them open up even more than just being in one foster home. We have foster sitters. These are people who can commit to even less than a week, maybe a weekend, sometimes even just the afternoon, so that they can give people a break, or say they have an important Zoom meeting, they can't have the dog barking in the background. This way we have someone who can step in and take over for them on a very limited basis. And we've also started a pool of puppy and small dog fosters. We don't like puppies to be in the shelter at all, for obvious reasons. And some of our small dogs have medical or behavioral problems. So we have a group of people who can't take on the big dogs, but can take on those challenges, and we're able to support them. Going along with what Kay said about getting easier dogs out, we realized that it's really hard to find experienced fosters, and especially experienced dog people who don't have a dog. So we decided to start creating them. And we're doing that using Good Pups scholarships, which is a training done virtually. We have a couple trainers that we really trust who can help us with behavioral problems, who will consult with our fosters and are familiar with those problems. We've just recently been able to start up again, having trainers come into OAS proper and invite our fosters with their dogs, or even if they don't have a dog at the time, to come and learn more about how to train a dog. And we're doing a buddy system with pairing up experienced fosters to mentor our more junior fosters and kind of help them along. And obviously the biggest thing is us. We are constant support for our fosters by in-person, email, text, and phone call. We've also really been pushing social media for our foster parents. When they get a dog, we ask them to start an account, and we walk them through that process. If they're not comfortable with social media, we have a pool of volunteers who will help set up an account for your foster dog. You supply the pictures and information, and they will do the rest. Our OAS main page on Instagram grew a lot in the last couple of years, so it's been a really useful tool for helping to promote our foster dogs and promote our foster parents' dog accounts. And we are also using that larger Instagram account to promote fostering, tell stories about our fosters, tell success stories, and just sort of get the word out that we're doing foster. As a result of that, our fosters have sort of started their own Instagram community, which is amazing. They're direct messaging each other, asking questions, getting feedback, and even reaching out to each other saying, I have a dog that I think would really work for you. I'm going to be gone for the weekend. Can you help me out? Which obviously leaves a lot of the burden off of us. We love them talking to each other. Multiple foster dogs have been adopted from people following their accounts, which is amazing. The fosters are able to provide follow-up support for adopters via Instagram. This way it's not their personal information, but they can stay in touch. And we've had multiple adopters who reached out to the foster and said, like, I can't do it. This dog, you said they were housebroken. They pooped on the rug. I'm bringing them back. And the foster was able to be like, no, like, it's okay. It's, been less than 24 hours. Let's talk, and calm them down. So they ended up being a successful adoption. And both our individual fosters accounts and our main page have successfully brought in new fosters for us, which is amazing. So what we're going to do next is obviously try to continue to grow. We're very excited about the path we're on. So we're starting a couple new initiatives. We have already started a weekly foster open house. One of the things we talk about a lot is how to remove barriers and encourage people who might be on the fence or a little concerned or not have resources that they can in fact foster. So this is an opportunity that people don't have to set up an appointment or have a particular dog. They can walk in, and we have people, knowledgeable people, and all the equipment and all the paperwork there. So right away they can have a foster dog. We're also going to do a dog days of summer. We're increasing the short-term fostering options for the reasons that I said earlier. And so this will be a very bounded, everybody picks up their dog on Monday, and on Saturday, we're having a huge foster dog adoption event, hopefully, where a bunch of those dogs get adopted and a lot of those people keep fostering. We're continuing our community outreach. Obviously, we have the virtual, but we're now able to do some of that in person, which is super exciting. And with all of that, even though we now have 2 full-time people, we only have 2 full-time people. So we're being very cognizant of how to continue to offer the level of support for our fosters that's really important to us by tapping into our volunteer and our experienced foster pool, and more setting people up with those people so that there is someone to sort of hold hands the entire process. So that's pretty much it. That's what we've been up to. We're really excited to get to share it with you. And we are ready if you have any questions for us.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have like 1,000 of them. I'm gonna maybe pause here and have Amanda go, and then we can do questions at the end just to make sure that everybody has enough time. But that was awesome, and I do have like a zillion questions written down. Amanda, are you able to share your screen, or do you?
Yeah, so
Okay,
actually, I apologize if I messed anything up at the beginning. My computer crashed right when we got on. You'll have an email from me, but I did get on another computer, but I don't have the share the screen option on this one.
All right. Well, when you talk about the Facebook group, you can I can do it.
Yeah, okay.
Let us know a little about your program. First of all, you've been deep in crisis for like several months. Can you tell us a little about that, and then your program and how it's grown?
Yeah, definitely. So we are currently at a facility that I do not know how old it is, very old. It only has 100 appropriate kennels, and we are taking in roughly about 70 to 100 last year we took in. So we do not have the ability not to have a foster program, or we would be overflowing with dogs. But we are a new organization at Cincinnati Animal Care. We took over the Hamilton County Animal Shelter in Cincinnati, Ohio in August of 2020 now, and I began as the foster coordinator in September of 2020. I believe when I began, we had about 24 animals, not just dogs, cats and dogs in foster care, and that was it. And we had 48 active foster families total in our system. So we were starting from scratch and from the ground up here. But the main thing that we did to get started was just hit the ground running with recruiting. I know they talked about their recruiting, and that was amazing. And I think that was the first thing that we realized, if we're going to have a foster program, that in order to house this many dogs, in order to take in this many animals, that we have to recruit. And from there, we ended up recruiting in 2021 alone 1,649. I pulled it up. New foster families. So I just wanted to speak about the main points that I have about recruiting that got us here, and go from there. I apologize that I do not have the slides after my computer crashing, but
no worries.
So the main thing after, as I'm sure everyone knows, is social media is your best friend, especially with foster. It is your best friend in recruiting fosters, retaining fosters, and spreading the word about fostering in general. I think something that I did right when I started this position was I joined every neighborhood group up to an hour and a half away, every single neighborhood group on Facebook, somehow got into all the next door groups and all of that. And we just started posting not only recruitment pleats on our main page each week, but also spreading the word into every single one of those groups. We currently probably post in over 40 groups. Whenever we post something, I share it to every single group. And from there is where you get word of mouth. Everyone can say word of mouth helps, but it's the fact of trying to get your fosters to actually do it and to spread the word. something that we have done, if we pull up the Facebook, you'll see it later, but we did a fun Mutt Madness contest. We didn't get to do it this year. It's only me right now, so we're a little behind on some things, but we did a fun Mutt Madness contest, and whoever recruited the most fosters that was currently a foster with us won prizes and stuff like that. So it was our little version of how to spread the word on fostering, but also get our fosters involved and involve them with prizes and stuff. We asked people that signed up who referred you, and they got that opportunity to get prizes and to see how many they could find from word of mouth. It looks like Kelly has our
I just pulled up
thing
the
up.
form.
Oh,
I don't know
that's a
what
little
that's-
different. Yep.
Okay.
That's actually an event form. We had an event called Mutt Madness too, where we recruited there as well. And at all of our, speaking of events, at all of our events, we bring all of our marketing materials for foster. It's not just about adoptable animals. We try to recruit why we are there at all events. Our fosters are really good about wearing Cincinnati Animal Care shirts, having their Adopt Me leashes on the dogs and everything like that. So I think that's something good to point out is at every event, you should be not only having your adoptable animals there and looking for adoptions, but also recruiting more fosters and volunteers while you're there. That's really important to us as we use events to our full advantage on every front. So they talked a lot about what pets they place in foster. We're actually pretty much on the same page. I know a lot of people do not want to place the easy dogs in foster. However, when you have space crisis, you have to. We have to. So any dog at our facility, any cat, any animals, we've had them all, pretty much are able to go into foster as long as it's safe to do so. So we will send that easy golden retriever into foster, but at the same time, a big focus of ours is we will also still look at the animals that really need it and really emphasize pleas for them. We will always let the easy ones go, but I might not focus on getting them out as much as I would pleading for the animals that really need it, if that makes sense. Like most facilities, we do not like dog or puppies or kittens, neonatals, to stay in the shelter at all. I know some facilities have a place where they can separate them from other animals very well. We do not in our old building. So one of our main focuses and something I am dedicated to is getting every kitten and puppy into foster the same day they come in. We have about a 99% success rate of this. I would say one of our main things that I know a lot of people do, we talked about automation and making things happen easily. We have our foster on deck form, which is the kitten form. We only use it for kittens. I know people use it for other things, but we have that and we start recruiting fosters for kittens. I think we started recruiting in January. So we have a form that's automated that people go and sign up for, says when they can take foster kittens. And then basically we go down that once we get kittens in, we're able to go down that form pretty quickly and see who can take kittens today, who can take kittens tomorrow, and get those out the same day. And then something that helps with keeping up with the kittens once they're in foster is we do use the Maddie's Pet Assistant app too. I know everybody talks about it, but I highly recommend using it. That is something I am very focused on, as a lot of kittens, a lot of people won't think something's a big concern with neonatal kittens. It is a big concern. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm pulling up my slides. So as far as 2021 went, our first full year at the shelter with focusing on recruiting, that, like I said, that's the main thing we did. If you're starting a foster program, definitely hit the ground running, but make sure to stop and focus on recruiting throughout. It's going to be your biggest thing or you're never going to grow. So we placed about 4,300 pets in foster last year, which was about 60% our first year, I believe. And like I said, the main thing that allowed us to do that was just our recruiting. Really get out there, make flyers. We posted something in our Facebook group yesterday with what other way fosters want to help you, even if they can't foster 2 animals at once, or even if they can't foster that weekend, they want to help you with other things. And so we posted the other day making a list of basically what people could do in our Facebook group for us, and whether that was buying a card magnet to spread the word, buying a foster sign, coming to get flyers and agreeing to pass them out around your neighborhood. Believe it or not, we have gotten fosters from that. People really stepped up. I think we got over 50 people ready to help us. And I think a lot of people at first, even I did, held back from asking people to help in other ways, because you're always like, no, please, you're in the foster group, please come get a foster animal. But a big part is asking them that they're a part of your foster community. They want to do other things. And we really are learning that now, seeing everybody want to help us with other things. Kelly, is there anything else specific about my program you want me to mention? I can talk about a little bit about the Facebook posts if you want.
Yes. Should I show them, or do you want to talk about them and then look at them?
Yeah, you're welcome to pull them up. I don't know what I've posted today, but no. So a big part of our foster program at Cincinnati Home Care is our foster Facebook group. I highly suggest having a group. If you do not, I think we have almost 2,000 in our group currently. And please are very important. I've done a lot of research from Kelly and a lot of research on what draws people's attention the most. We posted one this morning with some updates. We try to post about 1 to 2 posts a day. However, our fosters probably post about 20 posts a day that we approve. So there's about 25 posts in the Facebook group a day, and it really keeps people connected. We call it our foster family. And a lot of fosters post their marketing. A lot of fosters help each other out in this group. One of the main things is on this post that Kelly has pulled up for us, we really stated what we need and why we need it. A lot of people say you need foster dogs, but you don't tell them why. Here we're talking, they know we're overflowing. They know dogs are going to go in
fosters there today. And something my fosters asked for, our fosters have asked for, which I now do in almost every post, is for a few dogs to be posted on every single
I'm not sure. Is the audio? It just stopped. Maybe could you say that last sentence again? The audio did something funny.
Yes, I'm sorry. Something, so we're looking at this post now, something that we do in every post is we make people
aware of what we're looking for. This post doesn't have it, but there's some other posts where I even will post the goals of the week, and we'll make people aware so they can help us reach those goals for the week, because sometimes we'll post something like we need fosters now, but we won't tell them why we need fosters. And so it's very important to tell everybody why you need those fosters and when you need them. You're good, Kelly. Let's see here. But it's that was right when about when 2022 was starting. We really just want to tell you, like I said, they want to be a part of your foster family and they want to help you. So in this post, for example, we're literally putting goals, or no, this post is about how to take care of your foster, but we're also putting goals in most of our posts of what they can do to help us reach. Today, I didn't post a goal today, but usually one of our goals is to get 10 foster dogs out a day, especially on the weekends. And we will literally update that post every hour to show fosters where we are. And we will get 3 to 4 people come in the last hour because they'll be like, oh, you didn't hit your goal for today. We want to help. So I think it's just really important in your foster, please, even if it's just in your Facebook group of fosters and not your big actual page, is posting what you need from them and keeping them updated throughout. Let's see here. So sorry. So yeah, so this post here just kind of shows it. I'm saying what we need and when we need it for the day, and then we're posting a little bit sorry, I have a foster dog downstairs. We're posting a little bit about each dog so people can capture what they're looking for. Is, like I said, we used to not post dogs in it, but we realized that people really wanted to know a brief thing about animals so they could connect to one of these animals and come in to see one. So this right here, that's that she has pulled up. This is our weekly email. So for Foster Please, we do an email every week that we send out on Mondays, and it basically tells everybody updates about events, about what we're looking for in fosters, about how to recruit new fosters. It basically tells them ways they can help us, and then it also states not only the easy dogs, but specific dogs and cats that we need out that week and why. We typically use this one to really push the behavior dogs or our medical cases that may be harder to get out than just posting in the Facebook group. So that email is really good. We don't want to blow people up with emails, so we typically only send 1 to 2 emails per week and use the foster Facebook group as our main line of communication and main pleas with our foster group, since we have so many people in it. But no, I highly suggest everyone making a Facebook group and really looking at ways that you can get people engaged in your Facebook group. Transparency and each post is really important, and that's something we really do in our Facebook group, is telling our fosters what we need and why we need it. Even if we're drowning in dogs, we will tell them that. So use your Facebook group to your advantage if you don't, and be involved in it. I see a lot of groups where you'll post, but I am on there even though we don't have the time, we are on there every hour commenting back to people, because we've pulled data, and that's the way we get most of our fosters. So definitely use your foster Facebook group to your advantage if you have one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We, I guess, so now we have a good amount of time for questions. Kira put a question in the chat. Kira, do you want to ask your question?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm there. All right. I must have missed it. With placing 10 dogs a day, how many designated people do you have on your foster?
Yeah, so we have about 2,800 fosters in our Better Impact is what we use to send emails to and keep everybody updated. And we have about 1,900 right now in our foster Facebook group. You do get some people that say they do not use Facebook. I have literally showed some senior folks how to do it and get them on there just so they can be in the group. But it is not a requirement. In the way we reach them to give them important updates is in that weekly email.
Jessica, did you want to ask your question? Which I guess was a little bit answered just now, but
yeah, I think she answered it just now. So
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I
no,
think
that was
I answered
perfect.
the second one and not the first. So in the first question though, we have so we're budgeted for a department of 3 right now since we've grown so much, but as of today, we've had trouble, like I'm sure everyone has, keeping staffed and everything. So as of tomorrow, we're going to be a department of 1 for a little bit of just me, but we have never gotten up to 3 people, but we usually have 2 people at a time on the foster team, but we're hoping for 3.
I was just looking at the data we collected from these from when we did the social media audits. Both of the organizations that you're hearing from, they have their social media audits show that they talk about foster over 40% of the time. So they are, that definitely has something to do with it. So they're talking about it, very, very often.
I have a question for Amanda. I desperately want a Facebook group for our fosters. So A, can I join yours so I can lurk on there? And B, can we connect separately to get more details? I mean, I would love if you want to share here too, great, but like just about how do you administer it, who can post on it, you know, all of that. I just think it's such a powerful tool and we don't do it.
Yeah, definitely. You are welcome. Anybody is welcome to join it. It's just Cincinnati Animal Care Fosters, and you can steal our pleas and everything. I hope they help. And we can definitely connect separately, but also just really quick. So we do I have to approve every foster post only because, as I'm sure everyone knows, occasionally you'll get that post that just like completely breaks the rules, and you have to remind people separately saying, hey, we can't approve this post because of this. So we do approve every post. Like I said, it's about 20 posts a day. And then we have whoever is on the foster team, we have 2 admins right now and 3 moderators right now that can help us moderate everything. So it's not just me. We're hoping soon to grow and have a couple volunteer moderators. We're new, so we're still trying, but I know a lot of organizations have really good success with actually having volunteers almost completely run their Facebook group. But something that keeps me connected with fosters is answering them on there and answering comments. I really like to stay engaged with them on there, but we can definitely connect and I can help you.
Thank you.
Laura, did you want to ask your question?
Sure. So this is for Leanne and Kay. I was wondering if you could go more into detail about your buddy system, your foster sitter system, and like what platforms or technology you use for that.
I can start off. We don't have a lot of technology or platforms. And that's why I think we haven't been able to scale up as much as we would like to. But we use Google Sheets. I mean, you know, the whole Google suite of tools is free and available to us. And we basically, it's super labor intensive, but we talk to our fosters and they will tell us, for example, hey, I can't take a dog right now, but I'm happy to help out watching someone's dog if they need to, you know, go to the office for the day or something. And we have a sheet for foster sitters and helpers. We have sheets for puppy fosters. Yeah, so it's very clunky, and a lot of it is up here and in Leanne's head and in Kat's head. So like literally if we need relief for a vacation or a weekend or something, you know, we'll look at the sheet, but we also will just like scroll through our mental Rolodex and think of, gee, who is probably free and could take this dog? And then we text and email folks. Leanne, am I missing anything?
No, I think sadly that does cover really well how we're doing it. And I would say, you know, in a couple of months or maybe a year when we are presenting again, one of the solutions that we'll have come up with is how to have a better system for that, because right now it is, as Kay just said, it's part of the reason why we haven't been able to scale up as much as we would like to. So figuring out how to have people in touch and have them talk to each other more than gatekeep through us is a big part of what we are working on right now.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Amanda, does your Facebook group, like does the private group fulfill that role too, as far as fosters being able to say they're going to be gone for the week and they can post and say, hey, could somebody watch my dog?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, we probably are seeing more foster takeover posts right now than anything, especially with spring break. Yeah, so if someone emails us asking to return, we always our first step is asking them actually to post in that group and see if anyone can take over. Basically post a bio of their dog on a photo, and we get a lot of comments. We've even had Husky was posted yesterday, I think, for takeover, and 10 different people wanted it, and I gave it to one, and I'm trying to get the others here to get other foster dogs. But definitely it's really useful tool to post takeover posts in, so they don't have to return to the shelter.
sorry, for your foster buddy program, how is the matching done? How do you, or do you match? Do they do it themselves or whatever?
It's both. We have some fosters who will, they will find someone that, we had one of our fosters the other day who needed relief for 2 weeks, and he just found an acquaintance who he had, go ahead and register with us as a foster. And then luckily the dog was adopted before it was necessary, but and then, so sometimes it's directed by the fosters, and other times we are thinking, okay, we know that dog, we know who our available sitters or helpers are, and we just do the matching in our heads.
We also have Thursday through Sunday, we have adoption hours at the shelter that we encourage our fosters to come one of those days with their foster dog. And inadvertent result of that is that fosters meet each other and get talking to each other. And so then they do get to know each other, and they will reach out and be like, oh, hey, I know your dog just got adopted. I'm going out of town. This is, these are both like high energy shepherds. Like, would you mind like taking over for me for that time? So that's been really nice too, that they do start to get to know each other and get to know the types of dogs that different families have.
I'm just going to share my screen real quick because I saw this on your Facebook page the other day. So like once a week, they do a post of the dogs who are coming back to the shelter. Is this correct? So they're coming back to the shelter for to be there for like high adoption numbers, hours.
Right, because we're only open for walk-in adoptions during limited hours. Otherwise, adoptions are done by appointment. Again, it's a COVID thing. We're just not ramped up yet to be open for adoptions anytime we are open to the public. So when we have foster dogs coming in, we have a volunteer who every week sends out, I think she's using a Google poll now or something, to all of our fosters, or actually it's just the fosters we tell her to, because some of the dogs don't come to the events. They don't do well at the shelter. But she will reach out to the fosters, find out when they're going to be there. Then she provides the information to our Facebook guru, who then posts the notice about who will be there that weekend. So hopefully then folks will be attracted to come in and meet that foster dog, because otherwise they will show up. The dog will be on our website and it'll say the dog's in foster. And if they show up during our open hours, the dog is not going to be there. And I was curious, Amanda, if you could share how your team handles adoption visits and whatnot for foster dogs, and like, in-person marketing opportunities. I know you mentioned doing offsite events and whatnot, but I'm curious how that works.
Yeah, definitely. So seeing your postings every week makes me think that I need to go back and do a better job of posting them to make them stand out when they come. But we do also invite on the weekends. We have some picnic tables out front. It's not anything super official or anything, but for fosters to sit out there with their Adopt Me bandanas. And so we do have whenever we're open, adoption walk-ins are welcome, which is 1 to 6 every day. So whenever adopters walk in, they'll pass those dogs, they'll see them. Sometimes it's amazing days where literally if there's 6 dogs out there, they will all be adopted. Sometimes it's a slow day just at the shelter where none will be adopted. But that's something we do. We also are really amping up events this summer. Being new, we didn't get into them much last year. We also are working on everybody trying to plan events, since we don't have an event coordinator quite yet. But we are hoping to have at least 3 events a month off-site at this point this year, and we're hopefully going to hit that goal. But at our events, we really try to market them as much as we can, since fosters, that's really the only place they go. So we really try to market them, and actually we see a very good success rates at events. Probably about at least 50% of those fosters get adopted at each event. I know we haven't done it yet, but we are possibly looking to have a second kind of pop-up site, which is just for foster animals on the weekends where they can bring them to. We haven't done it, but it's a really good idea. And if anybody has done it, definitely reach out to me because I want to hear more.
Oh, I love that idea too. That's awesome. Other questions? So both of you have foster programs that are like almost brand new, right? So I guess tell us a little about the challenges that you're facing and how you've overcome some of them, especially with expanding very quickly.
I think Cincinnati Animal Care's biggest challenge was literally jumping in and having to hit the ground running because we were full from the start. So I think now looking back, we're this week alone, like I'm focusing on SOPs and protocols again because we put them in place at the beginning and we've learned so much over the past 2 years where we're like changing everything again, learning from other people. So I think that's been our biggest challenge is growing and having to change some protocols and things. But I think it's really important to definitely take time to look at those as you change and to realize as you grow that some things might need to change and be open to change. I know there's some things we started a year ago where I'm like, oh, really? Do I need to update that? Does that need to change? And I'm like, yes, for the amount of people and animals we have in foster now, it does need to change. So I think that's been our biggest thing is taking the time to stop what I'm doing and get all of our protocols in order and SOPs and guidelines and everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And kind of touching on what we said about our buddy system and whatnot, it's the same kind of thing where, you know, we have grown a whole lot and we're now sort of figuring out how to make sure that we sort of have the scaffolding to keep everything in place. And as Kay said, a lot of it is just in our heads, especially Kat and Kay's, because they've been here longer and they're really good at remembering things. But that does mean that we need a way to loop more people in to be able to help us out. And that's hard to do if it's just, we have to talk to each other to do it. So we're working on how to have sort of a repeatable system, I would say, which is, yeah, a challenge.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think our biggest challenge is recruiting new fosters and getting new fosters in the door. Because as you saw from the chart that Kat put together, 60% of our fosters are a one-shot deal. And, we hope to get them to foster more dogs, but it just doesn't always happen. Sometimes they adopt the dog, sometimes they move away, whatever. But we just need to get more and more people in the door. And so I do think, and our shelter doesn't have a marketing department or person. It's all sort of done, to the best of everyone's ability. They market their own little program, but that's one area where we really need to pour more resources, I think, so that we can get, I love Amanda magnets and signs. I mean, we actually are just in the process of developing and ordering a t-shirt for our fosters, which is thrilling. We're super excited about that. But we have trouble even buying Adopt Me leashes. I just ordered some that I paid for myself because we don't have them at the shelter. And things like bandanas and vests and whatnot. The program may have started out with a supply of them, but they've all sort of disappeared, and getting the funding to buy additional things is always a challenge. So anyway, I sound like I'm just whining, but again, I feel like if we could devote more resources to marketing and getting the word out so that we could get more fosters in the door, our lives would be so much better. And Facebook.
That makes a lot of sense. And I just love that you're tracking what, people who take home one pet, people who take home, like the fosters who take home certain numbers of pets, because I think that's a really important data metric that we don't talk about really Kelly Green, or is it Cal Green? I can't tell. Do you want to ask your question?
Hi, everybody. Greetings from Canada. I've just recently have the foster portfolio in under my direction, and we're dealing with a lot of behavior challenges with our dogs right now. We're full, as is, it sounds like everybody is. And we've been tasked, these are dogs that are in adoption, and we've been tasked to recruit fosters that have experience and that are trained and that can deal with jumpy, mouthy, food bowl aggression, reactive dogs. A lot of them have multiple behavior issues. We're utilizing our Facebook group. We're encouraging our fosters to utilize Instagram. How do you ensure, one, that your fosters are trained properly and have the skills and the knowledge? And how do you suggest we go about finding these people? I know it's a little bit off topic, but I thought, well, I'll throw it out there and see if anybody has any ideas.
Well, I'll jump in. I think this is very on topic. It's really important. Those are the dogs who need out of the shelter the most.
Yeah.
And, we have found that some of the behaviors that are problematic in the shelter go away when they are in a foster home. We just sent out a dog the other day who was only the most experienced volunteers could take him out because he was biting the leash, grabbing it, shaking it from side to side. It was really frightening. He's an 80-pound dog, and he was like he was flinging me from side to side in the adoption gallery like I was, nothing. So, that was a dog that was showing very, very concerning behavior in the shelter. He went out to a foster home, and within 24 hours, he's just a couch potato. He lies around. He's totally fine. He will, if a dog barks at him or he gets scared by, another dog, he will sometimes grab the leash, but the behavior is diminishing and improving. So you do see that, but you have to be prepared that it's not going to go away. And so that's what Leanne was talking about, the training, that support that we can provide. We used to have a behavior coordinator position at the shelter. It's still funded, but it's not filled. And the person who was the behavior coordinator often provided that kind of support to fosters. So hopefully we'll be able to, provide that as well. Leanne and I do a lot of it. We have the training resources that were mentioned earlier. We can give you more details on those. I mean, as far as if you haven't connected with Good Pups, I highly recommend reaching out to them because they provide really affordable training, very convenient for fosters. They can schedule, it's a video chat training session. So it's a one-on-one training session. They can schedule it. It's pretty much like all hours of the day, I think, 7 days a week. I think the sessions are less than $30 each, and it comes with like unlimited chatting and texting questions and that sort of thing. So the fosters that we have sent to them have really, really benefited from it and kind of become like little trainers themselves. It's amazing. And we've done it both ways, where in some instances, the fosters just offered to pay for it themselves. And in other instances, we do have a budget for that. And we will purchase, like, it's called a scholarship from Good Pup. So that's one thing to look at. And we found that people are more willing to take a dog if they know they're going to have support. And then some people are just into training, probably some of us on this call. And so if you tell them, here's an opportunity to take, we have this one very leash reactive dog, no one wanted her, but we said, we will set you up with this training program. And somebody right away said, yeah, I want to do that. I'm really excited about doing that, because they figure it's an opportunity for them, as well as an opportunity to help. So anyway, so those are some of the things you might think about.
Perfect.
I was gonna I was going to add to something that Kay and I just talked about that we wanted to start doing is with our very small pool of really experienced dog handlers, sending some of our difficult dogs to them, not to foster, but to just take for a week and work with them and let us know, is this a dog that's going to develop into a couch potato and now they're easier? Or is this a dog that is going to continue to have some of these problems? And also, like, what training tools do they respond really well to? And having the very experienced person do that means that we could then shift that dog to a more appropriate home. For example, if they turn into a couch potato, we can give them to one of our easy fosters, one of our more novice fosters. But even if they don't, we can hand them to someone being like, look, they do really well with like U-turns and treats. So like, that's going to be your training tool. Let me show you how to do it. And that way our small group who we know can handle a difficult situation, we can use them more than if they just were staying with one complicated dog.
Oh, and one other thing, Kelly, we have our prior behavior coordinator had curated this fantastic behavior resource library. The really distilled version is on our website under resources. You can find just kind of a very easy to follow training guide, if you will, on most behavior issues. Right on our website. And then we have additional resources that she put together on I think it's on a Google Sheet or something. And if you're interested, we could share that with you.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Definitely.
Oh, one other really quick thing is when dogs come into adoption events, when fosters come in, oftentimes I and more Kay, because she's amazing at this, will just do a little mini training session with them and be like, here's how you walk past another dog, and show them how it's done, and, you know, kind of help them out that way, which is another great part about people coming to the adoption events.
And I am by no means a trainer, but I have a very bad dog, so I have a lot of experience with training.
Cool. We have one more minute. So maybe one last, like, if you had one thing to say that, you know, you hope everybody will take out of this, what would it be?
Mine is probably honestly just focus on recruiting. That is the biggest thing. We did a plea, 4 days ago, saying we were full with crates, a very transparent post. You can go see it on Cincinnati Animal Care's main Facebook page, but we got 120, not that they all came and got dogs, but we got 60 dogs out in 3 days, but 120 new fosters from it. And that's just one, put your mind, think about your recruitment posts and definitely use them.
Awesome.
That's what I aspire to. But I guess my takeaway would be, if you are, you know, like we were, and we're nowhere compared to Amanda's group, so kudos to you guys. But if you were like we were, you know, 2 years ago, where you had 4 dogs in foster and you're thinking it's just not possible, it is. And just be patient and just keep plugging away, building it, because you can't do everything all at once, but you can make incremental progress in multiple areas that will allow you to build a bigger program. And I don't have to tell all of you that it is so worthwhile. I volunteered in many, many roles in the shelter before I took this job. And I think it's the most rewarding thing that I've done, is doing the foster coordinating. So hang in there.
Yeah. That was my one thing that I was going to say, is like, keep going. Like, some days it feels like, you know, today was a lot of work, and like 3 dogs went out and 2 dogs came back. So, but, you know, when you look at the numbers for the whole thing, like, we're making a huge difference, and it's just about staying positive and helping each other out.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming, and thank you so much to our speakers. Y'all were wonderful. We hope you have a wonderful week, everyone. Thank you.